Good day, resilient grade 10 learners and everyone watching out there. I hope you're all doing great. My name is Teacher Adensi Andres, but you can call me Sir Red for short. Are you fond of memorizing the lead role in movie that you're watching? That's good to hear because today I will introduce you to one of the greatest movie character that I've encountered. But before we discover about him, for today's episode, let's have a little review of your previous lesson. Last time, you're tasked or you're asked to read and tell something about the setting and characters of the certain story. During our discussion online, you're asked to select at least 3 characters in the story of Life of Pi and write each name and their characteristics or description on the character map. Also, you have to give a short narration about your description on the setting of the story. Are you ready to know the result? Generally, the major characters that can be identified were Pisin Patel or Pi, Richard Parker, and the narrator. You may have various descriptions about the role they played, but I would like you to emphasize how thoughtful, wise, and brave Pi was upon the development of the story. While Richard Parker, although a tiger, played as Pi's competitor and companion at the same time. The tiger was vigorous and dangerous that tested the skill of Pi. The author that also served as the narrator added authenticity to the story by reminding the audience about the direction of Pi's story, letting us know more about the lead character. Were you able to identify those things? That's great! Also, the setting of the story leads you into various experiences, from where the lead character started facing different obstacles in life up to a place that gave new life for Pi. Have you tried internalizing the effect of the setting and the characters in the story? How do you think? Did they help you better understand the writer's purpose? You're right! The setting provided the time and space for all the events to happen. Is the significance of the setting and the characterization getting clear to you? Precisely, the writer will think of the setting and characters that will help him achieve that purpose. On the other hand, the audience must be critical in the manner, setting, and characters are presented because this will help them better understand what the writer is trying to say. That's it! Your mastery of the previous lesson means you're ready for another knowledge quest. Last episode, focus on the elements such as setting and characterization. And for us to complete the picture, I will discuss how to evaluate plot for you to better understand what you're watching. Are you in or out? I'm glad to hear that everyone is in. Now, please ready your notebook and pen. As we move forward, I would like to ask, what do you really usually do after watching a movie? Naturally, You love discussing the movie with somebody else, right? Alright, if you enjoy discussing the movies you watch with your friends, I am pretty sure you will enjoy today's adventure. Now, we're up to activity 1. Let's call this activity as The Plot is on the Roof. Please write it on your notebook. The plot is on the roof. Can you make it? Please draw a triangle. Make sure that the triangle is big enough so that there will be spaces for some words you will write in it. Have you drawn a triangle already? Good. Now, on the lower left corner, write number 1. Very good. Now, still on the left side, somewhere in the middle, please write number 2. Now, on the top of the upper corner of the triangle, please write number 3. At this point, we're moving down to the right side of the triangle. Somewhere in the middle, please write number 4. Finally, at the lower right corner of the triangle, please write number 5. Before we proceed, let me ask you, do you see a triangle with number 1 to the lower left corner of the triangle? Moving up, you should have number 2, then you have number 3. Then moving downward to the right side, you have number 4. At the lower right corner is of course the number 5. You may be asking, what are these number 4? Well, those numbers stands for the parts of the plot. That's why we call this activity The Plot is on the Roof. Let's begin with number 1. Can you tell me the part of a plot where the characters and the setting are revealed? You're right. From the word expose, we have the first element known as exposition. Please label number 1, the word exposition. What about number 2? Rising action is correct. Usually, the beginning of the story tells us a smooth sailing situation until problems or conflict arise, and rising action is that part where the conflict is introduced. Kindly label number 2 with rising action. Can you tell me what number 3 is representing? Again, your answer is correct. Climax is the part of the story where we hold our breath and experience the intense emotion because it is where the greatest impacts of the situation. I believe you know what to do next. That's right. Please label number 3 with the word climax. Now, we're going to number 4. What part of the plant do you think does it stands for? Absolutely. The falling action is the part where we begin to shape emotions because we begin to see the consequences of the character's action so that the conflict will be resolved. For number 4, did you write falling action already? Wow, that shows you are a fast learners. Finally, we have the remaining part. What do we need to put for number 5? The resolution. That is correct. It is the part that tells us what finally happened. It is where we experience that happiness or sadness depending on what the situation turned into. Sometimes we don't feel contented because we do not agree with the ending. But nevertheless, that's the resolution. Now, let's try to look into what you have accomplished so far. Can you tell me the 5 essential parts of a plot? Very good. They are exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution. Congratulations for doing well in your activity. That's it. Your mastery of the elements of a plot means you are ready for the next level. In a short while, we shall attempt to better understand how the plot helps in achieving the writer's purpose. Are you in or out? Wow! Everyone is still in! During our previous episode, I instructed you to watch the movie Life of Pi on YouTube or acquire the summary from the subject picture. This time, we'll go back to the story by giving you the gist of it. I want you to imagine yourself in the scenario. You may even close your eyes if you wish, but please don't sleep, huh? While watching, please try to capture which events will correspond to the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Exciting, isn't it? Are you ready? Ride on and be part of the adventure.
In Canada, a young writer meets Pi Patel. The writer has been told that Pi's life story would be a good subject for a book. Pi tells the writer the following story about his life. Pi's father names him Piscine Molitor Patel after the swimming pool in France. In secondary school in Pondicherry, he adopts the name Pi, the Greek letter Pi, to avoid the sound-alike nickname Pissing Patel. He is raised in a Hindu family, but at 12 years old, is introduced to Christianity and then Islam, and decides to follow all 3 religions as he just wants to love God. His mother supports his desire to grow, but his rationalist father tries to secularize him. Pi's family owns a zoo, and Pi takes interest in the animals, especially a Bengal tiger named Richard Parker. After Pi gets dangerously close to Richard Parker, his father forces him to witness the tiger killing a goat. When Pi is 16, his father announces that they must move to Canada, where he intends to settle and sell the animals. The family books passage with the animals on a Japanese freighter. During a storm, the ship founders while Pi is on deck. He tries to find his family, but a crewman throws him into a lifeboat. A freed zebra jumps onto the boat with him, breaking its leg. The ship sinks into the Mariana Trench, drowning his family. Pi briefly sees what appears to be a survivor, but it turns out to be Richard Parker. After the storm, Pi awakens in the lifeboat with the zebra and is joined by a resourceful orangutan. A spotted hyena emerges from under a tarpaulin covering half of the lifeboat and snaps at Pi, forcing him to retreat to the end of the boat. The hyena kills the zebra and later the orangutan. Richard Parker emerges from under the tarpaulin, killing the hyena before retreating back to cover for several days. Pi fashions a small tethered raft from flotation vests to which he retreats for safety from Richard Parker. Despite his moral code against killing, he begins fishing, enabling him to sustain the tiger as well. When the tiger jumps into the sea to hunt for fish and then comes threateningly towards Pi, Pi considers letting him drown, but ultimately helps him back into the boat. One night, a humpback whale comes too close to the boat, destroying the raft and its supplies. Pi trains Richard Parker to accept him in the boat, and realizes that caring for the tiger is also helping keep himself alive. Weeks later they encounter a floating island of interconnected trees. It is a lush jungle of edible plants, freshwater pools and a large population of meerkats, enabling Pi and Richard Parker to eat and drink freely and regain strength. At night, the island transforms into a hostile environment. Richard Parker retreats to the lifeboat while Pi and the meerkats sleep in the trees. The water pools turn acidic, digesting the fish in them. Pi deduces that the island is carnivorous after finding a human tooth embedded in a flower. Pi and Richard Parker leave the island, eventually reaching the coast of Mexico. Pi is saddened that Richard Parker does not acknowledge him before disappearing into the jungle. He is rescued and brought to a hospital. Insurance agents for the Japanese freighter company interview him, but do not believe his story and ask what really happened. He tells a different story, in which the animals are replaced by human survivors, his mother for the orangutan, an amiable sailor for the zebra, and the ship's brutish cook for the hyena. In this story, the cook kills the sailor and feeds on his flesh. He also kills Pi's mother, after which Pi kills him with a knife and uses his remains as food and fish bait. The insurance agents are dissatisfied with this story, but they leave without questioning Pi further. The writer recognizes the parallels between the two stories, noting that in the second version Pi is actually Richard Parker. Pi says that it doesn't matter which story is the truth because his family still died either way. He then asks which story the author prefers, and the author chooses the first, to which Pi replies, "And so it goes with God." Glancing at a copy of the official insurance report, the writer reads aloud that Pi survived his great adventure, in the company of an adult Bengal tiger.
What you have just watched is the summarized and narration of the movie Life of Pi. Did you like the movie? Good! Were you able to imagine the series of events that took place? That's great! Now, we're ready to appraise the plot and how it helps in achieving the writer's purpose. Can you enumerate the part of the plot? That's great! These are exposition, rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. Be reminded that evaluating these parts will help you understand the purpose of the author. This time, I guess you're now set for quiz. Are you ready? All you have to do is write the word true if the statement is correct, or write the word false if the statement is incorrect. Are you ready?
Ready? Go!
Alright, we're done with the part 1 of our quiz. Before we proceed to the next task, let's check the consequences of the character's action so that they conflict activities. I want you to practice academic honesty as you check your own work. Let's do this! How did you find the quiz? That's very good to hear. Who among you got perfect score? That's great. Give yourself a big hand of applause. About those who failed to meet perfect score, that's okay. Give yourself a gentle tap on your shoulder. You have keep focused as we proceed to the next task. But before we proceed to the second part, let me ask you just one question. I want you to focus answering this question after our episode. Just don't forget to submit your outputs to be attached to your learner's kit. This activity or that activity will help you see how the plot help achieve the writer's purpose. You have realized by now that the plot or the series of events in the story help achieve the writer's purpose. And as we continue mastering the skills, let's have this task. Are you ready to learn more? Previously, you've learned that authors write for some basic reason such as to persuade, to inform, to explain, to entertain, and to describe. This time, I want you to remember one of your favorite films or movies as you create another triangle in which you have to specifically identify the parts of the plot, from exposition to resolution. Also, your output will be attached to another learning modules that you need to submit. Is that clear? Again, take note of any movie or film that you have watched and appraise the plot by specifying its parts. For next video episode, please read in advance about the next lesson, which is about comparing and contrasting the content of material you viewed with outside sources or information in terms of accessibility and effectiveness. And that concludes another episode. This has been Teacher Desi Andres, but you can call me Sir Red for short, saying, don't give up on life's challenges. Just like Pi, be strong, be brave, be faithful. Thank you, and good day, everyone.